It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are coming to you from the Lee Company Studios right here in Columbia. And as you know, I'm stealing this phrase from Wade, but it works. Pardon our progress. We are in a new studio. We are continuing to make improvements, kind of get this thing where we want it, but it's coming along.
Moving and grooving, and we've kind of got the construction tape and the cobwebs gone, and so we're cruising right along. I think I'm enjoying the new digs so far.
Absolutely, and new digs, same show. We're coming out hot today though, because here in the next few minutes we will be joined by Tennessee State men's basketball coach Brian Penny Collins, taking a little time before practice to visit with us, so we had to kind of adjust a little bit. In the second hour, we will be joined, as we usually are on Tuesdays, by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, getting us caught up on all things MTSU, including, unfortunately, last week's debacle in Ruston. So we'll talk a little bit about that and hopefully talk about some other more enjoyable things.
Yeah, let's brighten the mood a little bit. And you got a chance to right the ship tonight.
Absolutely,
versus a winless team.
A winless Kennesaw team coming in here for the first time. So yeah, hopefully we can get the ship righted over at Floyd Stadium later on this evening. We will also talk a little Major League Baseball. The playoffs continue. We'll talk a little JETS. Jets, as they made news last night and this morning. So we'll talk a little bit more about
They love the spotlight, if nothing else.
Well, some of them more than others.
Yeah.
Also, the Preds try to snap out of their season opening skid tonight over at Bridgestone. We'll touch on that a little bit. And again, it is Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I will give you our favorite fall activities. So stay tuned for that in the final segment of the show. Let's go ahead and get to a busy Penny Collins, though, because TSU is hosting their annual Big Blue Madness tomorrow night over at the Gentry Center and kind of getting things kicked off on the hardwood. So, Coach Collins, appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can now. Yeah, we see you on the move, man. Hey, thanks for taking a couple of minutes to visit with us this afternoon.
No problem, man. Yeah, man, we it's a big time right now. We got to kind of get ready to dance for
we
Let
are
me here in my
having
office so I can meet with you.
There we go. Hey, Big Blue Madness tomorrow night. Excited.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay.
Can you
sorry.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all clear now.
Okay, great. Hey, tell us about Big Blue Madness tomorrow night, starting at 7:30 at the Gentry Center. Doors opening at 7.
Start over.
Coach, you got us? Nope, he's frozen.
Yeah.
The Gentry Center is not kind in terms of connectivity.
Yes, and
have you been there?
He's not for several years, but he's in the doldrums down there.
Yeah. There's a lot of concrete between him and the outside world, and so he's kind of battling it. Hopefully we can get him back. But again, Big Blue Madness kind of kicks off the basketball season for the Tennessee State men's and women's teams. That is tomorrow night. Again, it's at 7:30. And it's kind of student oriented. There's going to be a 3-point contest involving students, also a skills challenge involving students, and a dunk contest with student judges. So it's going to be a high old time at the Gentry Center.
Yeah, and and hopefully we'll get Coach back on here in a minute. We can tap into this a little more, because when that place is rocking, when the vibes are high, TSU is an electric environment, and they have a lot to replace. They got a lot to work on, but we've seen teams do it. That can be done in a blink of an eye. It can be done
especially in basketball.
In basketball, it can be done instantly. So hopefully we can kind of restore that roar a little bit, as it were, in that building, because when it is on, it is electric.
Man, it's funny you say that. They played Murray State over there one night, and they had the marching band in that end zone down there, and oh my goodness! And I think it was a TV game, and when it had to be playing hell with their levels all night long, man. But when it's packed and rocking, there aren't a whole lot of better venues for basketball than the Gentry Center. But yeah, we are rejoined now by Coach Collins. Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, technology, man. It's a trip.
It's a beautiful thing when it works, isn't it? Yeah. No, you're fine, man. We've all been to Gentry Center. We know how much concrete is in that facility, and we know how tough it is to get hooked up. So we appreciate you battling through. We were just talking about Big Blue Madness tomorrow night, and seems like a very student-oriented event, trying to get some student involvement with the team here early on. Just kind of walk us through what you're expecting tomorrow night.
Well, right now it's starting to get cold. That weather's starting to change, so you're starting to smell that basketball. It's right around the corner, and our students are on fall break today and yesterday, and they get back tomorrow. So what a better time just to kind of get some basketball going and get some students out to enjoy. The men's, women's teams are going to have some fun activities for the students, and then just trying to get that basketball juices flowing, because we tip off in less than 3 weeks now.
November 4th, the opener against Fisk. Now, is that an official game? Is that an exhibition? What is the status of that matchup with Fisk over at your place?
Yeah, that's our first official game of the season.
Okay.
Yeah, it's our first one. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. After that, going out west for a couple, and then the HBCU. What are they calling that? There's a name for that, and it has escaped me immediately.
Yeah.
But you guys are playing Howard up at Howard. The HBCU All-Stars Challenge, I'm sorry, against Howard down in Atlanta. Got to be excited about that one.
Yeah, that our schedule is going to get off to a really good start. It's a challenging one, but we're excited about it. Fisk opened up at the crib, and then we go on the road for 3 straight. Colorado State's a top 100 team, NCAA tournament team. Last year they beat Virginia and Mountain West Conference team. Then right after that, we play Wyoming, another Mountain West Conference team. And then we flying straight from Wyoming back to Atlanta to play Howard, who's another NCAA tournament team. And the ATL has something to say, HBCU Classic, which is ironic because our football team plays Howard this weekend, and then we play Howard in Atlanta. So we have a big alumni base in Atlanta, and Howard does too. 2 of the top HBCUs in the country, rich alumni. A lot of celebrity alumni, Hall of Famers, NBA stars. So it's going to be a very interesting game, an exciting game for our program to go down to Atlanta to play Howard.
A lot about the schedule, Coach. How's the offseason been as far as, or even these first couple of weeks of practice been in your mind?
It's been great, man. We got 12 new guys, but it doesn't feel like we're new now because we spent the whole summer together, and we're going in. We had a really good preseason. We got back on campus in August, so we cranked up in late September. Feels like it's just time to play somebody else. Even though I'm not 100% sure that we have everything in ready to go, we're going to kind of be learning on the fly, but we got a couple scrimmage games coming up. We got one today, another one next week, and next couple weeks, and then we crank up. But I think our guys will be ready. It's an interesting group. It's a fun group. They're different, and I'm excited to get it tipped off to see where we are.
Yeah, from early indications, kind of give us a sneak peek, if you will. How will this team look? What would you like your team to look like maybe this year in terms of play style?
Yeah, I think we can go a lot deeper. We got a deeper team this year. We can play 11 or 12 guys. Well, we want to play fast. We want to play tough physical man-to-man defense. And on offense, we want to play in space and try to get a good shot down every time down the floor. The biggest difference in our team this year is that we're longer. We got longer wings. We got 6'7", 2 guards, 6'6" wings, 6'7" wings. And at the 4 last year, we kind of played a little smaller with like 6'5", 6'4" guards, basically playing 4 guards and 1 big. But this year, we have legitimate 6'6", 4-man, 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". We got a 7-footer from MTSU. We got a 6'10" freshman who's going to play. I mean, we just got a lot more size this year, compared to last year. You look at our team and, you might look on the floor and see 3 guys under 6'2" on the floor. This year, that won't happen at all. Like, we literally, my starting 2 guard might end up being 6'7", and my backup 2 guard is 6'6". Like, that's how big and physical we are. And, that should help us, this year, especially on the defensive end of the ball, being able to switch things and make it difficult for teams. Our length is going to be what makes us look different this year compared to the years in the past.
Yeah, a lot of length, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of on purpose. We kind of recruited that way on purpose. We wanted a team that could, move around and play different styles and be able, when we sub, it wasn't that big of a drop off in size and height difference.
Penny, with that said, and you said you kind of recruited to that, having to rebuild your roster after all of the movement since the end of last season, did that kind of play in your favor just in terms of rebuilding, retooling, and being able to just go out and address some specific needs that you perceived?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to me, a lot of people are all stressed out about it and concerned about it, and it's not fun to people. But to me, it's fun. It's fun going out and putting a new team together and getting new guys and trying to put those puzzle pieces together. Obviously, you want continuity, but we're in a different world of college sports right now where there's not any teams that have a lot of returners back. I mean, I watched UConn play yesterday. They lost all 5 starters, 4 of them to the NBA. In the OVC, only one team has 2 starters back. Everybody else has 1 or none. And it's the same thing with Belmont. I mean, they got a whole new starting 5. Every Vanderbilt. I mean, you look around the country, nobody has the same team. So I look forward to it. It's fun. You get a chance to kind of put your team together and feel how you want to fill out the guys' personalities. But at the end of the day, there's nothing better than like continuity and knowing what you got and knowing who's going to be there and guys that have been in the program. But I like to think my JUCO background really helps me with this. It helps to be able to really move, really comfortable in this environment because I've been around this. I've done this. I put teams together 1 year, 2 years, and won, and still won with 1 and 2 year guys. So it's fun. It's exciting. It's a different world, and you got to adapt. You have to adapt to the different environment that we're in now.
Mm-hmm. Penny Collins, men's basketball coach at Tennessee State University, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Penny, the OVC's coaches poll hasn't come out yet for the preseason. I'm not sure when Basketball Media Day is for the conference, but the Blue Ribbon Yearbook has your Tigers 7th out of 11 OVC teams, got Little Rock, Moorhead, and Western Illinois at the top. How do you feel like this league stacks up this time around?
I think our league is really good. It's talented from top to bottom. You got the newbies in Southern Indiana, Lindenwood, who have nicer facilities than anybody in the league. They got great coaches. The new team, Western Illinois, they came in right away and had instant success, winning 20 games. Moorhead State and Little Rock were kind of the top dogs. UT Martin had a great year as well. A lot of new coaches, a whole lot of new players. It's going to be an interesting league. And, I'll put our league up against any mid-major league. The thing that makes it difficult sometimes, people look at the rankings and say like, oh, the OVC may rank low, conference low, but our conference is just as talented as SoCon conference, who was top 15 conference in the country. You could take our top 4 teams and play their top 4 teams, and it'd be a very close competition. OVC is a highly competitive league. It's got plenty of NBA players, still pumping out NBA players every year. You even had a guy go this year, Riley Minix from Moorheads with the Spurs. So it's a very good league, very well coached. The OVC Media Day starts tomorrow, so the poll will come out tomorrow, and you'll see us picked anywhere from towards the top to towards the bottom, but nobody knows. It's like you're just guessing. Everybody's just guessing, and the people that are at the top, like Little Rock's like number 1 in everybody's list right now. But the only reason why they're number 1 is because they got 2 guys back. So you got to be like, all right, they got 2 guys back. We know those 2 guys are really good. If they have any kind of good recruiting class, we got to put them towards the top. So nobody knows. And, I think at this point, everybody, the cream will rise to the top, and we will be there when it's all said and done. Tennessee State, our team with this that we have this year, will be in the mix, and we're trying to go win it all.
I'm curious, evaluating your own team, Coach, how long will it take you to know kind of what you got? Do you already have a pretty good idea, or will it take a couple games, a couple weeks, or how does that process go for you as a coach?
You never can put a number on it. You know, sometimes you know what you have right away. I've seen teams that I didn't think were ready, and we end up being 28-2. You know, then I've seen other teams it might take all the way to midway through conference play. I'm hoping that's not the case with this team. But any basketball coach or any sports coach will tell you, you don't know what you got till you get hit in the mouth. So everything may be good. If we go out and we beat Fisk, we go out to Colorado State. If we beat them, whatever, that's cool. But when somebody gets up on us and we're down and out, and if we go through some turbulence, or when things get not going good for us, that's when we'll know who we are. You know, I'll know what we have at that point. So I'm hoping we don't have to have a whole lot of turbulence for me to find out who we are. But I do like this group, and it's been a really, really resilient group through the preseason. We made it really hard on them in some days. So we're just trying to figure out who we are. But I can't tell you how many games or when it will be. But I'm hoping it's sooner than later.
Penny Collins, coach at Tennessee State. Coach, who's a name we need to know? Because you do have a bunch of new guys.
Yes, that's a great question, man. You know, I would start with Canute Wood, my only returner. He's been here with me for 3 years. I think he's really grown this summer. He's took a leadership role. Him and Justice Jackson were named captains of our team. Justice Jackson is coming over from UT Martin, where he won a regular season championship last year and averaged about 7 points a game. But he's going to be asked to do a whole lot more this year on our team. He's going to be, be in a different role. Some guys that surprise you, Aaron Nkrumah. He's a 6'7" guard from Worcester in Division III school. He was the D3 Player of the Year in his conference 2 years in a row. And he was first team All-American as well in Division III. And he took his team to the NCAA tournament. So, a guy like that who you look at him coming from a Division III level, you don't really know what he's capable of, but he can flat out play. In the same breath is Deuce Harper, a 6'6" guard from Clayton State. He averaged 17 points a game last year at Clayton State. He's super athletic, can shoot the cover out the ball. These are some guys that are coming from lower levels. They're coming up to the Division I level to prove who they are, and we're expecting those guys to come in and play right away. Brandon Weston.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. A name that some folks around here may be familiar with from his play a little bit down the road, down I-24. What are your expectations for Josh Ogundele? Oh,
man. He's had days where he could be the most dominant player in the conference, and then there's other days where he's just, this is new for him because we expect him to play. He's been hurt his entire career. At Iowa, he was a big-time recruit coming out. He could have went anywhere in the country, and he chose Iowa, played with Luke Garza, National Player of the Year. Then he went to MTSU, where he's like, all right, this is my opportunity to play, and he plays amazing. If you look at his box scores,
we were rolling.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that's a guy that could be a fun piece, if nothing else. If it obviously pans out the way the coach is hoping, be fantastic. I think we get Coach back in here.
Absolutely. 6'11", 300 in the OVC.
Yeah. Somebody called my phone. I tried to press side button on it, but it just But Josh didn't play at MTSU. He got hurt. If you look at his last couple box score games, he played amazing. He had some really good games. So now he's healthy, and he's somebody that could be a force for us. I mean, a really, really important piece for our team this year.
Absolutely. Coach, we appreciate you taking some time. I know you got practice here at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to let you grab the whistle and get out on the floor. But thanks for taking some time with us. Again, Big Blue Madness tomorrow night, 7:30 over at the Gentry Center. Be sure and go check that out. Be sure and go check out the Tigers. And, Coach, we'll catch up with you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And definitely come over and see us. It's a free event, family fun. It's exciting times to TSU. Get a little precursor before our season opener on November 4th. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Let's go ahead and get to a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company studios here in Columbia, we will kind of start from the top, so to speak. So stay tuned after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome back to Main Street Sports Today and Top 5 Tuesday here, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. In our final segment, we will be giving you our top 5 fall activities. So be sure and stick around for that. Maybe we'll come up with something that is new.
Feels like fall outside.
It most definitely feels like fall. This is very topical, this week's Top 5 Tuesday. Again, we opened the show with a visit from Tennessee State men's basketball coach Brian Collins. Really appreciate him taking the time to get us in ahead of his practice this afternoon. But let's now kind of flex back into yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
To the rundown we go. High school football from last night in Nashville. Good.
Let me stop you real quick. Do we know anything about why these two teams were playing on Monday?
Don't know to the extent why it was played on a Monday, but I think Republic, when they forfeited, both these teams lost a game, and ergo they decided to play one. Presumably Monday is the only day they could sneak one in. Have to look a little more on their schedule to see if I'm assuming also maybe they're not on fall break. I can tell you that, but maybe they had bye weeks previously scheduled.
That's wild. CPA played a Monday game a couple of weeks ago coming out of Hurricane Helene. They played Grace Christian out of Franklin and then played on Friday. I wonder if either of these teams has games scheduled this week. Anyway,
The way it looks, first of all, the score.
yeah.
The score from last night, a great ball game. Was keeping tabs on it on socials, and it was a Donnybrook between Liberty Creek and Stratford. Liberty Creek wins it 28-21. Now, going into your schedule, I can tell you guys that Liberty Creek was supposed to play Republic this Friday.
This coming Friday?
This coming Friday.
Okay.
And as it stands right now, Stratford is still scheduled, unless something has changed or does change, to visit Maplewood. So props to Stratford, if nothing else, for getting that one. They were supposed to play Republic on September 26th. So they were short a game.
They didn't play Friday, did they? Can you tell?
They were off this past Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, Metro was on fall break, so they were off Friday.
Okay.
Sneak in a game on Monday, and then turn around and play Maplewood on Friday.
Ooh.
And again, yeah, your final last night, heck of an effort, but Stratford does fall. Liberty Creek wins it 28-21. A wild little Monday night football showdown there.
Yeah.
Volleyball action from last night as we get closer and closer towards state tournament action. Clarksville picks up a 3-0 win versus Rossview. Rossview in an earlier match, I assume, had defeated Clarksville Northwest 3-0. Summertown on top of Huntington 3-0. Loretto then beat Summertown 3-1. Loretto also had a win 3-0 versus Madison Academic Magnet. Clarksville, I mentioned earlier, with their win over Rossview, they also defeated West Creek 3-0. So a lot of region tournaments either wrapped up completely last night or will wrap up in the next day or so. NBA action preseason, the Grizzlies dunked their way to a 120-116 win over the Pacers in a good contest. As we opened the show, we told you that the Bills did knock off the Jets Monday Night Football, NFL style, and it was 23-20 favoring the Bills there. Couple of MLB games from yesterday. The Mets defeated the Dodgers. That was in game 2. Jumped on them early and held on late. It was 7-3 in that final there. And then the Yankees took care of the Guardians, game 1 of the ALCS. 5-2 was the final score.
Today's volleyball schedule, more postseason action. Starting here in a couple of minutes, Cookville and Blackman are matching up. Hume Fogg plays Liberty Creek at 3 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, it's York Institute at East Robertson. Also at 4, Lincoln County is at Nolensville. Lebanon goes to Riverdale at 4:30. Murfreesboro Central hosts Stone Memorial at 4:30. At 5, White House takes on Valor Collegiate. At 5:30, Bledsoe County is at Eagleville. Also, Brentwood takes on Lawrence County at 5:30. Games that we don't have start times for include St. Agnes at Christ Presbyterian, Lawson at Green Hill, and Brentwood Academy at Knoxville Webb.
Region soccer girls action this evening gets underway at 4:45 when Republic travels to Lead Academy. 6 p.m. kickoffs now. Huntington on the road at Cheatham County. It'll be Fairview at Chester County. Culleoka will play host to Huntland tonight. Again, a
Coverage
6
of that
kickoff.
one later at MainStreetMurray.com.
Jackpot. Gallatin will be at Hillsboro at 6 p.m. Cannon County is at Liberty Creek tonight. White House Heritage visiting Smith County. Harpeth on the road at Westview. It'll be Franklin at Lincoln County, which kicks off at 6:30. Also at 6:30, White House will be at Valor Collegiate. Into 7 o'clock kickoffs as John Overton visits Hendersonville. STEM Academy will be at Merrill Hyde. Columbia visiting Page this evening. Lebanon at Siegel. MLK will be at Station Camp. And Oakland travels to Stewart's Creek. These games will take place tonight, but we don't have start times listed. So check a source close to these programs, including Richland at Cascade. I want to say that one is set for 6, but I can't swear by it. Clarksville is at Dixon County. University of School of Nashville is at Grace Christian Knoxville. Henry County on the road tonight at Rossview. McNairy Central is at Sycamore. And closing out girls soccer action tonight, Providence Christian is at USJ.
Game 2 of the American League Championship Series, Cleveland at Yankee Stadium taking on the Yankees. That is a 6:38 first pitch. You can see it on TBS. College football, as we mentioned earlier, Kennesaw State goes to Floyd Stadium over in Murfreesboro, taking on the Blue Raiders. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. You can see it on CBS Sports Network. We'll be talking in the second hour with Chip Walters a little bit about that one. Also at 7 o'clock tonight, you can see it on Valley Sports South. The Kraken will be released at Bridgestone Arena against the Nashville Predators. Preds looking for their first victory of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Top story brought to you as always by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia, right here in Columbia. I can say that today because we are in Columbia as well.
Yes, sir.
Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And the Jets, as you mentioned, they are nothing if they are very photogenic. Apparently,
Man,
they find the camera, they love the spotlight, and they have finally pulled the trigger on the trade that everyone has been waiting on them to make. Davante Adams is headed from Vegas to the Big Apple to repair with AR-12. Well, I guess he's AR-8 now, right?
yeah, he's shed that one moniker for another, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that passing combination hooks back up as they try to elevate the Jets from 2-4, which is where they currently sit, 0-1 under interim coach Jeff Olbert, by the way, following last night's loss. So Adams is going to the Jets. Vegas gets a third-round pick that can be a second-round pick based on performance if Adams is first or second team All-Pro, or if he's on the active roster for the AFC Championship or Super Bowl. So, Rodgers reacted quite heatedly at any intimation that he had anything to do with Robert Saleh's dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like he's getting a lot that he wants in New York.
Yeah, you would assume that they're more willing to make this trade with Rodgers as the quarterback than maybe anybody else. Zach Wilson ain't probably getting this move made. So it does feel like that for sure. And this is going to be an interesting link up because on one hand, last night's loss really was a tough loss, and more on that later. But this is refreshing, though, to see them. They're not very good at the moment in terms of record, but this is their window. Their window is with Rodgers, and they're going all in. And so I respect the fact that they're going all in. They'd already kind of made some moves. They're kind of mortgaging the future, like we saw a couple years ago with the Rams, which paid off, obviously, in their Super Bowl. But man, this is a big price to pay if it doesn't work out. But I like the fact they're at least going for it. They're going to go down swinging. Maybe also this entices, woo-woos Rodgers to come back for another year, which is certainly, on the possibility he can hang it up at any moment. And so you at least kind of tease him, appetize him a little bit because, he's pulling the strings kind of as the shadow GM for sure.
It really feels like he is, and if he's not, then somebody should do something to dissuade us from thinking that, because it really looks like you said, he's the shadow GM at this point. You mentioned yesterday when we were talking about this game that you needed a big game out of Breece Hall, and it kind of looked like you got that to some degree.
Got it to some degree, but man, there were a couple plays. This was just the Jets just shooting themselves in the foot, and Hall busted loose on that big run down the sideline. He's got the end zone, and Taylor Rapp, who got major props last night on the broadcast, he runs him down, forces Hall to go out of bounds. The Jets have to settle for a field goal. They had 2 doinks off the crossbar at points last night. Nothing got going. But this was, in a weird way, in a loss, both Rodgers' best performance of the season and the offense's better performance of the season. 100 yards for both Lazard and Wilson. We got to see another famous Rodgers Hail Mary. But it ends up coming back to bite them. They had way too many penalties, over 11 penalties. There were 200-plus combined penalty yards in this game, and the Jets continued to shoot themselves in the foot. So on one hand, it's very frustrating because you definitely let this one get away. But on the other hand, you kind of, for the first time all season, saw what this team could become if not for some of those boneheaded penalties and special teams miscues.
Meanwhile, in comes Davante Adams, apparently out goes Hassan Reddick, the Jets have given the defensive end permission to seek a trade.
Yeah, and when Woody Johnson, he fires Bob Saleh, and then he basically comes back and says, hey, Hassan, please come to the facility. Let's work this out. And it sounds like we got our answer. And, if they had been able to also get him back in the mix, this is even their record sitting there at 2-4 is a dangerous, dangerous team. But without him, it's going to be kind of now up to the rest of the guys to kind of lead them. And they got some great performances last night. Quincy Williams had a big game. Quinnen Williams, former Alabama standout, he had a big game up front for them. But, man, not having Reddick, I think deep down a lot of Jets fans were just hoping that they would find a way because he was kind of that missing link that would probably give them that extra boost to maybe make a potential outside run at a Super Bowl.
Meanwhile, Reddick, in order for his 2024 season to count toward his current contract and in order to reach free agency at the end of this season, he's got to be active with somebody by week 13. We just finished week 6, right? So the clock is ticking on him to get somewhere.
Yeah, and, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as far as, did the Jets cave? We just saw the Raiders, who in the grand scheme of things didn't get as much of a haul as they probably should have for this. And I know,
and certainly not as much as they wanted.
No, they got off the hook with the contract. They got the Jets to take on the contract, but also they got, some incentive-based stuff. But, man, Adams has not played to an all-pro level yet. He's going to have to really put up some eye-popping numbers to play to an all-pro level. So you're almost kind of banking on the team aspect. And as it sits right now, this is definitely not an AFC championship reaching team. It could be, especially if the offense is going to play like they flashed at times last night. But the Raiders feel like they kind of got shortchanged a little bit. So now the onus will be to see if the Jets kind of mirror what the Raiders do and kind of panic and cave a little bit.
Adams, 18 catches, 209 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, I mean, a lot of that goes back to who's been slinging it for the Raiders. Gardner Minshew and Aiden McDonald. Neither of them really blow you away when it comes right down to it.
Yeah, but I mean, the interesting thing in terms of his catches and production, clearly we've got Rodgers with Lazard. I mean, that is his ride or die. And he caught the touchdown on the Hail Mary last night. He had a amazing catch over the middle. That was classic Rodgers, classic Lazard. Garrett Wilson has kind of quietly voiced, or maybe not so quietly, voiced some frustration with his, but he had a great night last night. So, I mean, now, yes, you have 3 elite receivers. Mike Williams, after that drop/interception last night, he is definitely gone by the wayside, I feel like.
He is persona non grata, I would think, at this point.
And so with that being said, where does Adams perceive his role? Where does Wilson think he fits in this equation? This could be an explosive offense if everybody kind of works in harmony. But because it's the Jets, don't necessarily hold your breath on that.
Jets in harmony?
Not good. This again, I think it's an attempt to go all in on this year, but it's also, woo-woo one last time at Rodgers to maybe come back next year or, in a wild universe, maybe even 2 years, when he's 40, closer to 45 than he is 40 at that point. So it'll be interesting to see, but I give him props for at least going all in because this is your window, right? You're not going to get you already have kind of mortgaged a little bit of your future in the next couple of seasons in terms of draft capital with some of your moves you've already made. So we might as well push all the chips in the pot and just see what happens. The Patriots are down in that division. Obviously, the Dolphins are down. And the Bills are only 2 games up on you. Last night could have made both teams 3-3. You're not that far out, but you definitely are far out. So they went all in here.
In their last 4 seasons in Green Bay, Adams averaged 119 catches, more than 1,400 yards, and 14.5 touchdown catches. So trying to replicate that in the Big Apple is clearly the goal for everybody involved here.
And he's pumped to be there. He's already, he made a cameo, a photo bomb, if you will, on Rodgers' interview on McAfee's show today. So Adams is already excited to be there. And
he's already there.
So, I mean, the fact that, it's a day after a deflating loss, at least you get Adams back on board. And the Jets, again, we've talked about it earlier on the show. They had a wild start to the season, playing the 49ers on the road, coming quickly to Nashville, and then playing the Patriots on a Thursday night, and then going over to London. Their first 4 games they played in something crazy like 25 days or a very tight window. Schedule does get a touch easier. You got to go to the Steelers for NBC Sunday Night Football next week, but you get the Patriots, presumably a win, even though it's on the road. And then you get teams like the Cardinals, the Colts, the Seahawks at home. The schedule does get a little lighter for them, but they have to strike while the iron's hot. And I saw a stat earlier today, Mo. Only one team in the Super Bowl era has ever made the playoffs with an interim coach. That was the Raiders a couple years ago. They're going to look to try and make rarefied air by squeezing into the playoffs this year.
There we go. Let's take a break here from the Lee Company studios on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, talk a little baseball. Stay tuned after the break.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely. Major League Baseball Championship Series continued in one case yesterday and started in another as the Mets evened up the National League Series at 1 apiece with that 7-3 win out in LA over the Dodgers, and the Yankees got out to a 1-0 start with a 5-2 win at home against Cleveland. Giancarlo Stanton with a big home run in that one. And stop us if you've heard that before, because that happened on more than one occasion here in this postseason. Stanton, as I don't know, impotent maybe, as he was during the regular season, seems to have found another gear here in the postseason.
Yeah, and he took it to a new level. And there was a pitch and a ball he hit earlier in the game that looked like it was getting out of there, and everybody stands up, and you're thinking, oh man, he just cranked a bomb. And it was one of those fake outs where it was just a casual can of corn out there. So then later he steps up and says, hey, I'm the 21st century Mr. October here, because he absolutely lifted them to a big win. And it felt like for the Yankees, that was good and settling. I know it was 5-2. It wasn't as if they, blew out the Guardians. But the fact you get Soto going, the fact you get Stanton kind of rolling around, that is a good start for them in that ALCS matchup.
Yeah, and much needed for them, because Aaron Judge has kind of been under fire here over the course of this postseason. I'm not sure exactly what his numbers are, but folks are not impressed. People are talking.
Yeah, and he got up early, first inning. The Yankees get a couple of guys on, and then Judge doesn't produce, and it kind of is building toward that narrative. And kind of like as we'll get into with Ohtani, he hasn't been up to that level just yet. The good news is that's why that depth is important, and Stanton's kind of holding down the fort. Big 7th inning blast, and I mentioned Soto obviously has kind of been the steady hand. He had one in the 3rd, so the fact that maybe Judge has been there and been produced some big playoff moments in his career. So if you're a Yankees fan, you're hopefully just chalking it up to just a little bit of a lull, a little bit of a slump, maybe get him going, and then really kind of put the hammer down. It'll be interesting to see how this game unfolds tonight.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, Ohtani is like 6 for 27, I think, in the postseason, something like that. 0 for 19 with the bases clear. So clearly folks are pitching him differently with nobody on base versus when there is, and he's not responding very well. Seeing a lot of stuff out of the strike zone and expanding, it sounds like. But, I don't know what you expect, though, from a guy who's never been in the postseason before.
Well, I mean, that's to the point. I mean, you cannot bank on one player, no matter how good they are, generational talent or not, to single-handedly carry you every single night. And, he did strike out a couple of times again last night. That is the interesting thing, is he's had multiple games. He's only had one game in this whole postseason where he has not struck out twice. One game all postseason that he hasn't struck out at all. And so he is going through it, to say the least. Had a good opening night like a lot of the Dodgers did. But by and large, they were a little off outside of a short little rally in the 6th when it looked like they might really crack the game back open in their favor. They struggled. And Sean Manaea did a great job on the mound for the Mets, which is crazy because this guy saw this number earlier. In 11 starts versus the Dodgers entering last night, he had a 7.09 ERA. 11 appearances, 8 of those were starts. But he was solid last night. Like I said, ran into a little trouble, but by and large held down the fort, and the Mets did not met. They held on to the lead. They got up 6-0, and they tried. Gave up one in the 5th, and then the 6th really almost came unraveling for them. But they got a key insurance run in the 9th and held on for the 7-3 win.
Yeah. I think magnifying Ohtani's struggles is, he is at the top of the order. And when the bases are empty, that's when they need him to get on.
He did draw 2 walks last night. And he got on in that regard. But, yes, it would be nice to see him, set the tone, maybe knock an extra base hit or 2 there. And then certainly you'd like to see those numbers continue to be strong when you have runners in scoring position. But, yeah, the Mets got what they wanted. They got blown out in game 1, got their pants pulled down a little bit, but they got a big win, and now they're going back to the Big Apple. That place will be insane coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If you had told the Mets going into LA that they were going to split in LA, obviously you'd take that. Now, like you said, you don't want to get your pants pulled down and get beat 9-0 like you did in game one. But sometimes it's not about, showing your work. It's just, what you got. And you're 1-1 going home.
Going home 1-1, and you kind of ruined the aura that the Dodgers had in terms of their pitching, which we had talked about. Lindor got that underway with the leadoff homer yesterday. So you've kind of took away that mystique a little bit. And now going back, you got Severino going on the mound tomorrow. The Mets, I'm not going to say they're now a favorite to win this series necessarily, but they certainly got what they wanted, I think, out of those first two games, especially considering how game one went.
Yeah. So they go back. They resume that series tomorrow night in the Big Apple, as the Yankees will be leaving the Big Apple after tonight. Game two again, 6:38 first pitch for this one. You can see it on TBS. And again, flipping back to Judge, in the divisional series against Kansas City, Judge hit 154 with 5 strikeouts and 13 ABs. Has the highest strikeout rate in MLB postseason history. And this isn't just, a new thing for him. Over his career, he's hitting 207 in October, 288 during the regular season.
Yeah, like I said earlier, he's had a couple moments of brilliance, but yeah, those numbers are what those numbers are. And it has not been as consistent. You're hoping – he seems like he's very streaky too, right? I mean, all it takes – is 1-3 to go through the net, and Judge is all of a sudden off to the races. So you certainly got to be careful, but it's kind of a thing. And yeah, if somehow the Yankees do drop a game, and then especially if they drop 1 or 2 in Cleveland, and he doesn't perform well, we see how quickly even the biggest of stars are not infallible to the New York media and the New York fan base.
Absolutely. Gold Glove finalists have been announced, 3 at each position in both the American and the National League. The winners will be announced on ESPN on November 3rd. Alex Bregman among the finalists at third base in the American League. Jake Myers in center field, and come on, scroll bar, work with me here. And Mauricio Dubon as a utility player for the Astros are among the finalists.
Good to see them get a little love. Obviously would forego that as a fan if they were still playing. But, hey, a little extra shine for the guys, which could be the final award of Bregman's Astros career, depending on how this offseason goes.
You hope that's not the case, but that's certainly a possibility.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah. Couple of Royals pitchers, Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans, both among the finalists. Kansas City catcher Freddie Fermin. Nicky Lopez of the Chicago White Sox is a Gold Glove finalist at second base.
That probably had a lot of opportunities to field hard hit balls.
Hard hit balls, absolutely. In the National League, Chris Sale and Matt Olson are finalists at pitcher and at first base, respectively. They are the 2 Braves finalists. Milwaukee Brewers second baseman and former Nashville Sound Bryce Terang is a finalist.
Along with Frelick.
And Blake Perkins.
The Brewers well represented. Again, same deal. Man, they would have wished their season had gone a little bit longer because they had another special year, and these guys were certainly a part of it.
A couple of former Vandy boys, Mike Yastrzemski of the San Francisco Giants and Dansby Swanson of the Chicago Cubs, are finalists in right field and at shortstop, respectively. It's pretty cool. Again, winners will be announced on November 3rd during an ESPN telecast, so you can look out for that. Apparently, I didn't realize that this was necessarily noteworthy or newsworthy, but the Philadelphia Phillies have extended the contract of manager Rob Thompson and will retain his coaching staff despite NLDS exit versus Mets.
More than we can say for some teams in that division, who sometimes will let award winners go. So yeah, at least an extension. Good I mean, that's what's wild about baseball, right? Is it comes down to 2 or 3 games, 1 game in some cases, in the playoffs, and that's kind of how the public perception kind of gets judged a lot of times. So they undoubtedly would love to still be playing, but I would not have known that otherwise. That was kind of a quiet slip in there.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't realize that there was a question as to whether or not he would be back, but apparently there was.
I'm sure if you polled, maybe say 3 Phillies fans, 3 would probably argue to the other angle of that. But there's a reason the execs make the decision, not the Philly fans, I suppose.
Yeah. Meanwhile, and we didn't get to talk about this because combination of people being out and no shows and that kind of thing. But the Braves parted ways with hitting coach Kevin Seitzer late last week. And, I think the proof was kind of in the pudding on that when the Braves, while they had a number of injuries to deal with, didn't really come close to matching their offensive output from last year. And situational hitting was a bit of a shortcoming in a number of occasions over the course of the season. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go in to replace him. But Kevin Seitzer, who had been there for 10 years, I didn't realize it had been that long. But they will have a new hitting coach in 2025, and it will not be Chipper Jones, by the way. So,
yeah, you let a 10-year vet go. I mean, the numbers are what they are, but yeah, you're going to have to make a key replacement to that staff.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting. You lost Ron Washington and Eric Young at the end of the 2023 season when Wash got the Angels managerial job and Young went with him as a coach on his staff. You lose Kevin Seitzer this year. A lot of turnover all of a sudden in the dugout for a team that has not had a lot. It'll be fascinating to see what direction they go in for this hitting coach position here. So
you're exactly right. Yeah, and for a franchise that has not had a lot of change, can be good. Certainly is scary though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Hour number 1 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we return for hour number 2, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, as he prepares for tonight's 7 o'clock kickoff at Floyd Stadium against visiting Kennesaw State in Conference USA action. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We are joined now by the Blue Raider voice, perched high atop Floyd Stadium as he prepares for the 7 o'clock kickoff between the Blue Raiders and visiting Kennesaw State, with former friend of the show, J.P. Plant, in the background.
Yeah, former friend of the show, J.P. Plant, back there.
Former friend of the show.
Right.
Yeah, it is the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, joining us. Chip, good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Looks like you're kind of bundled up. You got the windows open?
No, not yet. I've got layers in case. It's a democratic process up here that we'll decide later whether we want to have the windows open or not. I used to be, one of those who no matter what, I want the windows open or whatever. I don't need to be a hero anymore. So, comfort, when you get to a certain age, comes into play, and depending on what Joe and in particular the senior member of our crew, our spotter Wayne Gross, will probably leave the final call up to him. As long as we can get a mic outside or get some audio from CBS tonight, from Nat Sound, which I've already asked them for. We'll see if that happens or not. We'll find out. So.
That is the key, Chip, is Giles County, their press box is nice and it's luxurious and it's indoors. But when you don't have that Nat Sound, it kills the atmosphere. It feels like you're in a dome a little bit. So I sympathize with you there. And I'm glad you at least informed us of who really has the final ruling on that, even though you said it was somewhat democratic in terms of the process.
Sometimes democratic, sometimes autocratic. So, there's that. But right now I've got a good view. The band of Blue is out. They were doing calisthenics just now, getting loosened up. They're trying to stay
warm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And exactly like Wallace Dillard's PE class at Whitthorne Junior High School back in the day, kind of getting loose out there. But they're getting ready. They have their practice 4 hours prior to kickoff, so it's about time for them. And but a little breezy here. I just checked; it's 57 degrees, but one of the cooler 57 degrees that I've witnessed in a while. And again, I hope for the fans that the wind will and the breeze will die down some.
You know, you said that it is a democratic process, but there are 4 people in your booth, right?
That's right. So it could be a tie.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
That's when we lean on Wayne Gross for seniority. He probably has a vote and a half.
Okay, I got you. And understandably so. Much deserved on Wayne.
And also don't forget the old pro is in here with us too during the game. So
okay.
That does make 5.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Chip, it was 14-7 in Ruston, and then it was 41-7.
Yeah, 41-14. Or 34-14 at half, and
then they scored right out of the half.
Yeah, it sure did, and it was, the script obviously worked well early, and middle came right down the field. First drive didn't have a running play, threw it 9 straight times and scored. Louisiana Tech came back and scored. Then middle went back up and scored and went up 14-7. The Blue Raiders had a couple of turnovers. Again, could not win the turnover battle. Derek Mason kind of laid it on the line yesterday morning, and he talked about it some after the game on Thursday, but he minced no words about what they've got to do from a defensive standpoint. Louisiana Tech scored on 7 straight possessions at one point in the ball game, and so they, not being able to set an edge on defense and turn things back in, and to be sure tacklers are the 2 main things. And the number, those are 1A and 1B, with number 2 being start to force some turnovers. Here we are 6 games in, and your defense has only forced 4 turnovers to this point. You've given up 12 on the other side, so you're -8 right now. And when you're -8, you're probably about 1-5, and that's where we are right now.
Was that performance particularly galling for former defensive coordinator Derek Mason?
It seemed to be, and because we talked about it after the Memphis game, that I was pretty excited about the what I thought were positive steps by the defense against Memphis, and a pretty good Tiger offense, and I thought they'd come a long way, and then it kind of seemed like they took a step back in the game with Louisiana Tech, and that was when you're coming off of a 12-day mini bye, and so now you've got 5 days from that last game, and you kind of hope that Nick Vattiato is correct in what he talked about on the postgame show. He said, he goes, I'm glad we're playing in 5 days. I want to get this out of our system and go play another opponent, get back home. And, and here we are. We've got Kennesaw coming in tonight who is 0-5. And their closest game this year was a loss to UT Martin, 24-13. Their last outing on Friday, October 4th, they gave up 63 to Jacksonville State, who scored 8 rushing touchdowns that night. So one of the other parts of what Middle has been looking for is to get the run game going. And, just by what it looks like from a number standpoint, tonight could be the night that you could get that done.
You'd like to think that tonight is kind of a get-right night.
Exactly. That's what you'd hope. You don't take anything for granted, but you hope that tonight is a night where you can get right, number one, on defense, force a couple of turnovers, get your run game going, and defensively, you've got to be better on third down. They gave up 12 third down conversions at Louisiana Tech, and that, and is in Derek kind of put it in a way that I hadn't really thought about. He goes, when you give up a third down conversion, you're basically telling them, okay, here's 36 more free plays that you weren't going to get had we gotten those, gotten the ball back on third down. So that, and at the end of the game, it was lopsided in total plays that had been run that night.
Chip, I wanted to ask you, put your thinking cap or your spin on this, if you would. Having been in the league and obviously been with Middle for so long, you've seen some teams that have made this jump up to this level. I'm curious, they are winless, but where does Kennesaw rank, you think, maybe in terms of where they feel like they are and where they need to be or want to be making this move?
Well, they're no Liberty. I'll say that. Yeah. Liberty was probably – Liberty and James Madison are the two most well-prepared to make the jump that and of course, James Madison made their jump to the Sun Belt while Liberty made their jump to Conference USA. They've been the two most prepared. I would say mid-pack to lower mid-pack. I would, and I'm just trying to think around the league. I'm trying to think if FIU and Kennesaw probably would be pretty similar. And when you look at their schools, they're very similar as well, as far as, huge enrollment, but, 80% of it's online, things like that. I mean, Kennesaw's got 47,000 students, and FIU has like 50,000. But, I think FAU was more prepared than FIU was. And you look where else, UAB was a unique situation, but they had done the work. Western was very prepared, and I think Middle was very prepared. And you look that in that 20 plus year, 24 years, or this is the 25th year of being a 1A program, and you've been to 10 bowl games. So it seems like that Middle was fairly well prepared in that. Arkansas State was a perennial 1AA power. Marshall was a perennial 1AA power. Kennesaw's been good. They've had three double-digit win seasons since they started football. But it is a different animal when you step up. And fortunately for them, they scheduled, I think, pretty well to make the move. Yeah, they played UTSA to start it, then played Louisiana Lafayette. There's another one who I thought was well prepared to make it after being they were 1A, then went to 1AA and came back. UT Martin, then they got into the conference race with Jacksonville State, which is not an easy opening draw. But, in their history, they've never beaten an FBS opponent. And that even goes to when they were 1AA and playing up. And also it would be they've not won a game as an FBS program. So I think when you put all that together, they have not had the resources that behind them that a lot of places have had, in particular, the latest move ups like what we're seeing with James Madison and Liberty. And I think when you look at the two schools that come in next year, I think they're going to be farther ahead next year than Liberty is right now. And that's Missouri State and Delaware. And Delaware has a ton of resources because it is the University of a state. They are the land grant institution, and they've got a lot of things that some other people don't necessarily have. And Missouri State is just a well-run operation there in Springfield, and they have kind of their own little kingdom there in the southwest corner of the state.
It feels like, Chip, that football-wise, Kennesaw State would be pretty well placed right there outside of Atlanta. Georgia is really a talent-rich state. You'd feel like they'd be able to do some damage as a school in that area.
Well, I think you're right. And I think as time moves forward, you're going to see Kennesaw and Georgia State, I think, are going to be battling to kind of be that next level program, who is going to be the go-to for Georgia players who are looking to get more playing time? Who is going to be the go-to program for Georgia Tech players that are looking for more playing time? And just when you think about where they're located, those two schools, but you also throw in Jacksonville State and Troy, who are just right over the line in Alabama. There's enough competition there, but they have a lot of resources at their disposal by being in the Metro Atlanta area, just like you said.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, the Blue Raiders kick off at 7 o'clock against Kennesaw State at Floyd Stadium. You can see it on CBS Sports Network. You can hear it on the Blue Raider Network. And some people like to sync up the telecast and the radio broadcast. I don't have the patience for it, so I probably just listen to the radio. But football isn't the only thing going on campus today.
That's correct, right? Matter of fact, here in about 15 minutes or so, Rick Ensel's women's basketball team is going to have an open practice and a meet and greet for fans. That's at 3:30, and our pal, that's where our pal Joe Fisher will get to have his first public taste of being the new voice of the Lady Raiders, and so that's coming up. Men's basketball had a private scrimmage last Friday night, I think, in Knoxville against East Tennessee. They at Thompson Bowling Arena. Second year in a row that Middle and ETSU have met there. That's a good scrimmage. I mean, Coach Insel it's interesting. Yesterday we had a video call for donors with the two basketball coaches, and we talked about it that Coach Insel really likes the exhibition game thing because they can go through their whole game day routine in a game situation. Coach McDevitt, he feels that the scrimmage situation is better for his program because in addition to the 40-minute game you're going to play, typically they'll have a couple of added segments to where backups can have, a 10-minute scrimmage. They'll probably play a game and a half when they play those scrimmages. And also they can do a lot of situational stuff and work it out with the other coach of who you're scrimmaging against. Hey, let's do 5 minutes on late game situations, offense and defense. We'll go back and forth, and just different things like that. They feel that that's a little more valuable, and as it turned out, having a scrimmage at Thompson Bowling Arena this year may pay dividends since the Blue Raiders will go to Knoxville to take on Tennessee on December 23rd.
That's Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do they have the big grocery cart like Food City does up at Bristol at the Speedway?
That I couldn't tell you. I've not been there since they entered into this naming rights agreement with Food City. If they do, Kyle and I are going to ride in the big grocery cart.
Now we're talking.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure that during Rick's meet and greet this afternoon, it will come up that the Lady Raiders received 3 votes in the Associated Press Women's Top 25. We're not going to get deep into that because Chip's got to run, but the Lady Raiders received 3 votes, the same number as the other inhabitants of Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena, the Lady Vols. So
okay, interesting.
Yeah. Tennessee is not in the top 25. Vanderbilt received votes as well, 12. So
wow. When is the last time the Lady Vols were not in the top 25 in a preseason poll?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
I don't have an answer for you. That's a good question.
I think she's going to do really good up there, though. That's just my opinion, but I think her style of play will be very fan friendly.
I think it will be. I hope it is, because going outside the family for a number of people is not a good thing. But at any rate, we wish Coach Caldwell luck up there. Not too much though, right?
Except on December 2nd or 9th or whatever that is when the Lady Raiders head up there. Yeah.
Hey, Chip, real quick, I wanted to sneak in a quick shout out. How about our boy Aston Roden, the Lady Raiders soccer program? They've won 3 in a row, including a big win versus Western over the weekend.
That's right. They find themselves in first place in Conference USA going into this week, and Aston's Army has been playing well, and want to wish them all the very best. And volleyball has had a good weekend as well. They swept Jacksonville State over the weekend, so those sports have come along. Men's tennis won the ITA doubles regional and will be in the ITA national draw, which happens in November. And women's tennis is hosting the ITA regional here in Murfreesboro at the outdoor tennis facility yesterday and finishing up here this afternoon.
Ooh. Outside tennis today, I'm sure is a lot of fun.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, you can hear Chip here in a few hours. Tell them where, Chip, as you go.
95.1 totally hits Nashville, 93.3 totally hits Murfreesboro, and also the WGNS family of signals. But the best place to catch us streaming will be on GoBlueRaiders.com, WGNSradio.com, or if you've downloaded the MTSU Athletics app, which is a super app to have. It's got all kinds of stuff. You can catch us right there as well for streaming.
Thank you, sir.
Good stuff, Chip.
Stay warm.
Appreciate it, guys.
I vote for closing the window.
Well, we'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, keep us posted on that.
We'll talk to you later, man. Thanks. When we return to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's time for the grab bag because we got plenty to get to. So stay tuned after this.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
He shoots, and he scores!
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you our top 5 fall activities because it's certainly feeling like fall out there. And, this may be it for a while. It may actually be fall.
It is going to warm up later this week, which is nice, but we won't get back to what we were. High of 79 over the weekend. It's going to go down in the 30s.
It is October 15th.
Yeah. Cover. I mean, you're borderline. You got to cover the flowers up tonight. I mean, it's going to go down to 33 tonight and 32 tomorrow. But yeah, like I said, it'll warm back up the next couple of days. But yeah, those 80s and 90s outside of that fluky one-off, I feel like are probably done.
Yeah. Again, top 5 fall activities to close out the show. Right now, it's the grab bag. And Wade, we talked yesterday about the AP men's basketball preseason poll, and we were a little surprised that two-time defending champion UConn wasn't at the top, or didn't really know where to expect them, but didn't expect them to be 3. No such issues on the women's side, where South Carolina is with 27 of 30 first place votes, your prohibitive number 1 in the preseason.
Yeah, kind of not a surprise. It feels, we talked yesterday that the men's basketball poll seems like they kind of they'll just edge toward the talent over the pedigree. But we also just talked about, Penny told us, UConn losing all of their squad. It's different on the women's side, but it also helps when you got as much historical kind of firepower that Dawn Staley has kind of produced with that program. And so kind of not shocking. You got UConn and Southern Cal, which could be the real wild card. USC could be this year, kind of knocking on the door with Juju Watkins. So not necessarily a surprise. And the only real question will be, how many potential losses, if any, does South Carolina have this year?
Goodness gracious. It's tough to visualize somebody beating them, to be honest. But like you said, UConn, the number 2 team with Paige Booker's coming back from injury. Southern Cal, which okay, now this says Pacific 12 women. I think maybe the Associated Press did not get the memo that Southern Cal and UCLA are both in the Big Ten this year. But Southern Cal with Juju Watkins and with a couple of transfers, they are number 3. Texas at 4, UCLA at 5. That's wild that the 2 newest teams in the Big Ten are both top 5 teams this time around. To find a traditional Big Ten team, you have to go down to Ohio State at number 14, by the way. So
yeah, same deal with Texas, right? They're in the top 5 as a newcomer in the SEC, and we see Oregon has kind of been taking names in the Big Ten in their first year of football. So yeah, USC and UCLA, a chance to test the waters. And again, like I mentioned, they're going to be the fun new chic team that everybody's going to be kind of tuning in to must-see TV, I think, most nights with sophomore Juju Watkins rolling in there.
Yeah, without question. that'll be certainly worth keeping an eye on as the action heats up. We mentioned the Preds hosting the Kraken tonight, 7 o'clock at Bridgestone. UC Soros was in goal Saturday night, not Scott Wedgwood. Didn't seem to matter, and I guess if you don't score, it really doesn't matter who the goalie is. Dropped a 3-0 decision at Detroit on Saturday night, so the Preds 0-2, trying to pick up a victory tonight against the visiting Kraken.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them. We've discussed that, it's probably going to take them a little while to find their footing, at least in terms of offensive play. You'd still like to see a little more sign of life. They're got a -4 goal differential already to start this year. Maybe get a chance. Seattle's, they've won one game, which is obviously one more than the Preds have. So hopefully can knock that off. The other big NHL headline, if you thought that Utah, the new squad, was going to go undefeated, I'm sorry to burst everybody's bubble. They lost. They were one of the last few undefeateds, but they suffered their first loss yesterday. So the 82-0 merch will have to be put away for now because they took their first L. But yeah, the Preds are going to be okay. I think they'll be fine. And I think as much expectations have been heaped upon them, kind of my feel on this is don't be shocked if they finish third or fourth, maybe even still in the West. And then if they have success, it's in a playoff run. I don't think this is a team that is necessarily going to come out and win the President's Trophy by any stretch, which the most diehard Preds would maybe say is in the realm of possibility. I kind of think they'll land somewhere in that 2 to 5 range. 5 maybe being the floor, 2 being the ceiling in that sense. And then, the rest of it will just come down, as it always does, to how well they do in the postseason.
And I think that's a fair expectation because, again, when you bring this many new folks in, getting them all on the same page, looking at y'all Titans, is not the easiest thing to do.
Well, bringing them in, and then this was a team that, if not for that crazy streak in February last year, would not have even been close to the playoffs. Right. So, I mean, they kind of were punching above their weight as is. So it was a little off to maybe just assume they're going to waltz their way to a Western Conference championship this year. They're going to have to really battle, and they're in a loaded division. The Stars and the Jets are both still undefeated. I mentioned Utah. Arizona was really bad last year, but Utah inherited that roster. So they're not a pure expansion team, so they're going to be serviceable and have gotten off to a good start. And teams like the Blues and the Wild in the mix as well. Preds will be okay. The Avs are also 0-3, and they, have been historically these last 4 or 5 seasons a really powerful squad in the West. The Oilers are also 0-3. So the Preds, are not the only ones that are kind of struggling to get off on the winning note thus far.
And it's early.
Yeah. Still early. You got 79 more games after tonight to make sure you get everything squared away.
So 80-2 is still in play.
80-2 is still in play. And again, the Kraken come to town tonight. Been squirrely. I got to see them in person last year. A fun game at Bridgestone. A lot of goals scored. They are, for a newer expansion team, I think 3rd season at this point, they're a little scrappy, but you would hope that you get back and get right this evening.
There we go. We had Teresa Walker on last Friday talking a little Titans, a little Predators, and she also mentioned that she was covering the meetings on Thursday in Nashville between Big Ten and Southeastern Conference officials regarding, trying to get on the same page as the preeminent power conferences in college athletics. One thing that seems to have come out of that is that the 2 conferences are working on a scheduling agreement, kind of a year-long SEC Big Ten challenge like we've seen in basketball, I guess. So could face off in a series of such games. Teams from the 2 strongest conferences would play as many as 12 to 16 challenge games, similar to the non-conference blockbuster matchups in major college basketball.
Yeah, and this was the meeting of the mafia, basically. These are the 2 big dogs, and these are the 2 big dogs that they be the only big dogs.
They really are.
They're wanting to have their own Super League, and so they are collabing. And like I said, it was a meeting. If you weren't invited to this meeting, then you ain't part of the equation going forward. So could be kind of cool. It is neat to see. And, I mean, this is just a way to kind of slip that into your subconscious a little bit. Oh, yeah, the Big Ten and SEC, they're going to play each other every year. And then one day when the switch gets flipped and they're the only two leagues standing, you're kind of already used to it at that point, is the way that I kind of read this.
Yeah, the ACC and the Big 12 were kind of outside beating on the door. We hear you knocking, but you can't come in, and a lot of this, we saw Texas, Michigan earlier this year. We saw Alabama, Wisconsin earlier this year. And so clearly they're moving toward giving us more of that with, again, television revenue being the primary driver.
Yeah, and the other thing is, as revenue sharing kicks in for the student athletes beginning next year, you got to have, if you're these leagues and you're these schools, you want to have the biggest pot available because you don't want to pay them. You want somebody else to pay them. And so you want to get the biggest bargaining chip you can. And that's why I think, they've kind of gone this avenue is that they're trying to corner the block right now.
Well, and like you said, if they can pay the players without paying the players,
exactly,
then that's where they want to try to get to.
Petiti and Sankey, they know what they're doing, and the more and the longer we can go without actually having to do our own payment, why pay the folks when we could have somebody else pay them? Negotiating bigger rights. I mean, selling a SEC Big Ten game is a big marketing tool, and so that game alone, those non-conference games alone, you're just slowly slipping it in to the subconscious. Nobody's really tuning in to a Big Ten MAC showdown. Nobody's really tuning into an SEC Sun Belt showdown. I mean, they are trying to get their most bang for their buck and, again, pay the players without actually having to pay it themselves.
And I guess with the college football playoff, the 12-team college football playoff in place, this type situation is a lot more amenable to the coaches in both the Big Ten and the SEC, because otherwise it would be, you mean you want me to play the meat grinder of a conference schedule that we have to play, and then you want me to go play one of those guys too and try to play for a national championship? No, thank you.
Yep.
But you can take a loss. You can take a couple of losses and still be in play for a national championship with the playoff structure that is currently in place.
Absolutely. And, they've already angled. They've already kind of dipped their toe. Well, what if we had 4 automatic qualifiers among these two leagues? They're going to continue to kind of push the envelope. And because of the success they've had on the field, but also the financial success and academic success these schools have had, they kind of are calling the shots right now. And the meetings getting together, it was a publicly held meeting of the mafia in Nashville.
Leave your guns at the door, right? Speaking of the Big Ten, one of the biggest games of the weekend was Ohio State going out to the West Coast and dropping a 32-31 loss to Oregon. Dan Lanning has all but said that they intentionally sent 12 players on the field on defense late in that ball game to kind of manipulate the clock a little bit. Took a penalty for having too many players on the field, but the clock was not reset as Ohio State was trying to come back. And so the defense benefited from a penalty. And Steve Shaw, who is the rules editor for the NCAA, says that the NCAA is taking a hard look at that sequence to see how to address that, because again, the defense benefiting from that is not where they want to be. They don't want to see other teams replicate that situation in similar situations.
Yeah, and my immediate thought on that, number one, it came against Ohio State, so I loved what I saw. Dave was furious.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I was watching that and I was loving, because you could kind of already tell where that was going. My other thought was Buddy Ryan, rest in peace, was smiling up above, because it was kind of a throwback to that Polish defense where he would just line up near the goal line and run 14, 15 guys on the field with 20 seconds or whatever on the clock just to make you keep snapping the ball until finally they're down to just one play, and you'll take your chances with one play. And it was gorgeous the way it worked out. And I love that Lanning kind of eventually, you can only blow so much smoke. You kind of got to own up to it. It was a genius move by him. And then Howard, obviously, with the slide, shades of Dak Prescott in the playoffs. I mean, it worked out to perfection for Oregon. The only thing that happens is once the cat's out of the bag, it will get looked at, and they'll try and come up with something. So not a great surprise that they may try and do this because it was so impactful on a high-stakes game.
Yeah, it's looking like it may become a fool me once, shame on you type thing. It seems as if going forward, putting the time back on the clock will be in play. Nothing definite as of yet, but if this does not get addressed during the season, it's almost a certainty that it will get addressed after the season.
Or at least give the option, right, to the opposing coach. How do you want to approach this? As it's currently is constructed, you kind of just have to take the penalty or the clock. I mean, the clock loss is kind of there no matter what. So stroke of genius from Lanning. Epic game, one of the games of the year, and the fact that it ended the way that it did was kind of poetic justice for this Michigan fan sitting here. That was awesome.
We've talked about Cam Rising at various points on this show. He is out for the remainder of the season for Utah with multiple injuries. Freshman Isaac Wilson is now the Utes QB1 until further notice, according to Kyle Whittingham. And any future developments concerning Rising's collegiate eligibility will be addressed at a later date. Rising could conceivably be eligible for an 8th season at the collegiate level. Missed time with a lacerated finger on his right hand, his throwing hand. Sustained a lower leg injury against Arizona State, a game in which he threw 3 picks. At what point do you, as the school, say, Cam, we thank you for your service, but it's time that we move on and it's time that you move on? I mean, when a guy is no more available to you than he is, he's almost stunning the growth of the other quarterbacks on your roster, is he not?
Yeah, and I think we might have finally reached that point. And looking at his career, I had forgotten. That's been so long. I mean, it was many moons ago when he starts at Texas and then transfers to Utah. He's only played 30 career games. 30 career games. When he has been available, when he's been healthy, he's been a lot of fun. He's been very prolific for Utah, but it kind of feels like he might have run his course. And so when he gets that, if he gets that 8th year, the question will be who bids on his services, because presumably somebody, if he comes back healthy, he can be a major impact player. And it will be fascinating to see what the transfer portal and what the bids come in for the QBs next year, because if he gets that, he could be the ultimate one-year plug-and-play guy. And the cool thing is for him, finally, NFL draft stock, I mean, he's, I think, a 6th or 7th round pick from some projections that I've read. So that is kind of almost off the radar. With that being said, hey, let it ride for one last season and let's see where you end up and let's see what can happen. But it does feel like the end of the road in Utah.
Should Cam Rising come back to play collegiately in 2025, he would be 26 years old when the season starts.
He can go to the store for a lot of underage folks for sure. And, we've seen older players. I think MTSU's got a 7th-year player on their squad after transferring from Vanderbilt. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but yeah, talk about milking it. He's living every man's dream right now, stay in college as long as possible. And so for that, I commend Mr. Rising.
Last year, when he was sidelined, Bryson Barnes got some starts at quarterback for Utah. Also, Nate Johnson got some starts for Utah. That is Vanderbilt backup Nate Johnson, who started as a true freshman at Utah before transferring in over the offseason to, as it stands, play behind Diego Pavia. So, again, I just don't know what the benefit is if you are Utah of bringing him back, given his injury history.
Yeah, and the fact that and we've seen this weird, shuffle in terms of the injury report and his availability or unavailability. But the fact it kind of just feels like Whittingham, as we're not seeing quite as much of a ducking and dodging and disguising this year. So to me, it almost feels like kind of he's over it a little bit at this point. They got Isaac Wilson, who's played pretty well as his backup. And it seems like, it's his show to run for at least the rest of this season.
Couldn't blame him if he is over it.
And like I said, the question will be, does he go, where does he end up? Who's it? Dart, I believe, is probably gone from Ole Miss. I mean, there's somebody like that bid for his services. Michigan could certainly use a quarterback. I mean, he will end up somewhere if he is healthy and if he is available for sure.
Well, the thing,
and if he gets the waiver, obviously.
Yeah, the thing is, even if he gets there healthy, it doesn't mean he's going to stay healthy.
I mean, you're taking a little bit of a dice roll, that is for sure. Maybe it's a team that has a QB already on the roster, kind of like a Texas almost, with the Arch and the Ewers situation, where you're like, okay, we'll bring in a starter level backup and just see what happens.
And let them battle it out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you could maybe win the job, but just know that
you could lose.
It's not safe. I mean, Florida with Mertz and Lagway. I mean, there are fits for him, and he will get bid on pretty well. Is the question of to your point, can he stay healthy? Because the answer has really not been yes.
It has not. Is Doug Peterson going to get fired?
Yes.
Is he going to get fired before the end of the season?
Likely. It looks like that way. And, the joke is the only reason he didn't get fired this week is because they play again in London as well. And Khan didn't want to fire him and then fly him back to the United States only to have to hire a new coach and fly him out to London. So business class ain't cheap, so that it feels like the end of the road for Peterson in Jacksonville. Like we mentioned yesterday on the show, the Titans have been bad, but lo and behold, they are not the worst team in the league. Or lo and behold, they're not even the worst team in the division. And it feels like Peterson is not long for this world.
It's crazy. This guy won a Super Bowl.
And that's going to be the wild thing when we go back and look at history. A Peterson-Foles combo won a Super Bowl versus the Patriots. I mean, and that is going to be one of the ultimate head scratchers, I think, in the history books of the NFL when we go back in about 10 years.
So when he gets back from London is when you feel like it happens. Well, who do they play this week? Because, you can't.
It's the Patriots, I believe, right?
Ooh.
Yes, it's the Patriots.
Oh, God. If they lose that game, he deserves to get fired. Sorry, Gerard. Nothing personal. Strictly business.
Yeah. So the Jags back to – and the thing is, they should win that game because it's the Patriots number one, but they also should win because they've been there already for a week. And that should be enough of an advantage for them because, yes, if you lose to the Pats, 2 straight losses in London, if Khan doesn't fire you, then the London government probably will – institute something. Either you can't come back as a franchise to London and play here anymore, which they know they love to do,
or you certainly
can't
come back with
the
him.
Coach. Yeah, you can come back, but only if he's not the coach. That's what it feels like to me.
Final segment of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, will be Top 5 Tuesday as Wade and I give you our top 5 fall activities. Stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this break.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
you wanna be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you wanna taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
It's the final segment of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Again, it is Top 5 Tuesday, and it's time for us to give you Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Two great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is you're in, Thalas Steel will get you in a better one. You can find him at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Again, Mid-South 5 Fitness, Franklin, Columbia, bringing you Top 5 Tuesday, as Wade and I will give you our top 5 fall activities. And Wade's will likely be better than mine because I'm not a fan of the cold. So my favorite fall activity is staying in the house. But at any rate, I think I can come up with something here. But Wade, the floor is yours.
Number one, right out of the gate, if you've got kids or you got a significant other, you know what I'm about to say. You got to go to the pumpkin patch at least one time. And nowadays, you also got to make sure you get plenty of pictures for Instagram and for fall, Christmas card.
For all your socials.
All the socials. You know, you got to let everybody know. But you got to go to the pumpkin patch. That's right up there at the top. I haven't made my trip yet, but it's coming.
Again, I don't like being cold. So my favorite fall activity is a bonfire. Staying warm. Getting as close to it as I can get without actually getting burnt.
Throw us some more in there, and yeah, you're golden.
I'm not a marshmallow fan.
Ooh.
So
we'll come up with an alternative for you then.
Absolutely.
You can do pretty well. That is a good pull. Up next for me, this could be featured in a future top 5, but pop on a scary movie, whether that's at home or if you want to get crazy and the weather is crisp and it's nice, go to the drive-in. We got a couple great drive-ins here in Lewisburg or Watertown close by. Hit the drive-in or hit a scary movie just to kind of get you in the mood for that fall weather.
When I am at the bonfire or at the fire pit, give me some apple cider.
Yep.
To drink. That's my number 2. Some good cider or some cinnamon apple cider.
Now you were talking. That is a classic. Apple picking is up on that list too, with similar to the vibes to the pumpkin patch there. Speaking of pumpkins, up next for me, this one you can do indoors, carving pumpkins. You can always go indoors. You can got the pumpkin carving. You can roast the seeds after 2, and then you got some snacks. Give me pumpkin carving for number 3.
I used to hate raking leaves when I was a kid. But when you rake them up into a pile and then you can jump into them, that's pretty cool. It's kind of a chaotic kind of scene. And again, if you've got kids or grandkids, if you're a certain age, the pictures for the IG and the socials.
Yep, that is a good one. And if you don't have to be involved with the compiling or the raking of the leaves, even better.
Or even the blowing of the leaves.
Yeah, jumping in as many as you want. Up next for me, you do got to go outdoors to do this. And I'm not going to MTSU tonight, but attending, whether it's high school, and I guess we get paid to do this, so it's a little disingenuous, but attending a football game has got to be up there. Especially if you can get a tailgate going, that's when you can tap into the cider. That's when you can tap in to some of the food options. Give me a football game. Maybe even if you got to bring a blanket. It's not too cold, but just a nice little blanket just to get you nice and cozy in your seat there.
The tailgate, if you know somebody, because I'm too lazy to put it together, but if you know somebody that's tailgating that doesn't mind you kind of piggybacking, yeah, that's good stuff.
A tailgate in the fall is way better, in my opinion, than a tailgate on August 30th.
Yeah. when you're sweating and you
No,
got to.
I don't want any part of those.
Yeah. My number 4. I've spent a couple of falls in Michigan, and the leaves, the colors up there this time of year, they're a little bit ahead, I guess, because it's been cooler up there longer than it has here. But the foliage is really cool to watch the leaves turn colors. So that's good stuff.
So it feels like, to your point, we've talked about during the show, it feels like the weather changed instantly, and it also feels like the leaves just changed magically. On the drive up to Columbia today, I mean, it is gorgeous, and 65 or 31A, it is a perfect, and we're kind of spoiled, to Michigan's point, but the South is when it turns, man, it's a beautiful sight. I am 100% with you there. Last for me, I'm torn on 2, but I'm going to go with hiking or camping. I just got done hiking and camping in 100-degree weather. I'd prefer to do it in 60 or 70-degree weather where you can tap into a bonfire. You can kind of enjoy, and you're not just worrying about sweating and being dead by the end of the day. I mean,
yeah.
So give me the hiking or camping, which can incorporate a couple other activities along the way.
Yeah, you're not in this. If you're going to do something like that, you don't want to do it again with a towel and while you're worried about staying hydrated and that kind of thing. Yeah.
And you can do a bonfire even in warmer temperatures. That just doesn't hit the same to me. So, and that's something that kind of goes hand in hand. So yeah, give me a hiking or camping trip this time of the year.
Absolutely. My number 5, I'm a Franklin native. I still live there. Don't come looking for me. But Franklin needs no excuse for some type of a festival or something downtown, and just getting out and walking around downtown for a little bit at a fall festival, checking out the wares that the different vendors are selling, checking out the food the different folks are selling. The scenery overall is pretty cool. Fall festivals is my number 5.
That's tough to beat.
Did not mention hay rides.
Hay rides off the list. Corn maze is on the list as well. Growing up in Giles County, you kind of got to make your own fun. So a good old-fashioned corn maze will do the trick. Kind of like hand in hand with the pumpkin patch. Plenty of photo ops in that one as well.
Exactly. Those are our top 5 fall activities. If you want to hit us up and tell us what we missed or what yours is, feel free to do so at ms_sports today. We'd love to hear from you. That is Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you again by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is that you're in, Dallas Steele will get you in a better one. You can find him at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. That's going to do it for the Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, thanks for joining us here in our In Progress studio here in Columbia. Who knows what else we'll have when we come back here, but
hopefully an MTSU win.
Oh, goodness, yes. Yeah, because if not, things could get really ugly really quickly.
Yeah.
Let's
pull one out versus this is a wooden
versus
here,
winless Kennesaw. Yeah, let's get one tonight.
Yep.
Let's get a Blue Raider win. Let's get a Preds win tonight as well.
Double dip on that. That would be clutch if we could get the Blue Raiders rolling. The schedule kind of, they get Jack State next week. Maybe a chance to spoil their season. They got championship hopes. Maybe the get right tonight for the Blue Raiders.
Absolutely. We will be talking about it all right here tomorrow at 2 o'clock on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Join us in the Lee Company studios tomorrow. We'll see you then.